what role does having a good reed play in like the overall musician health of the oboist? Because I'm sure that probably does play a factor. This is just me, you know, being curious as a trumpet player.
Oh, that is such a loaded question. First of all, if you don't have a decent reed, you're not going to be able to play. If I have a really bad reed, I sound like a 7th grader. It doesn't matter that I have a doctorate. It's just going to squawk and be out of tune and not forgiving in making sound. So you need to have a reed to be able to play your instrument. Don't get to just pick up the trumpet and it's the same thing every single time. It changes based on temperature. It changes based on humidity, barometric pressure, altitude. All of those things shift how the reed functions. It's pretty cool. I tell my students that reed making is like arts and crafts and whittling meets physics meets magic, because it's very complicated. But if you have a reed that's too hard, it can actually cause some funny things where your muscles get strained. I had a reed that, as I was preparing for a recital, this was my 2nd year in my doctorate, and I had a performance, or it was the dress rehearsal before the performance, and I played on a reed that was just a little too hard. And I was working to manipulate dynamics in a very focused way. And so by the time I was done, I was getting really tired. And we were also in the process of doing a recording session for David Maslanka's 10th Symphony with the Wind Symphony at the University of Utah. And it was such a cool experience, but we spent hours and hours recording. And it was a very extensive piece, and there were a ton of oboe solos, specifically one movement that was very exposed, and that requires a lot of quiet playing. So it's very controlled with your embouchure. And by the time I was done, my face was blown, like it was swollen. It's probably pretty similar. I know oboe embouchure is very similar to French horn, where it's controlled by these muscles around the mouth, not necessarily the lips, right? Or the teeth. You don't want the teeth to be involved at all. But my lip was totally blown, and my recital was in 1 week. And I couldn't play for more than 10 minutes at a time, and I was quite petrified. But one reed that was just a little bit too hard made it so that I fatigued in the first run through, and then I blew out my face in the next session, so that the whole next week was just painful to play. I iced. French horn player told me I was supposed to use hemorrhoid cream to get the swelling down. And I actually used, there's something called a TENS unit. Don't take this as anything anybody should do, because I just did this on my own. I used it on other injuries, but I actually it shoots electricity into your face, into your muscles, and I put it on my cheeks. I usually do it on like shoulders or knees, and it decreases swelling and chills out your nerves. And so I did that the day before the recital in an act of desperation, and it worked, and I was able to play. So, funny things happen when you're playing an instrument. We push ourselves for the love and the deadline, right?
Yeah. Oh, man. Let me tell you about tangent. That. No, that's actually, well, first of all, like I said, that was me being curious, but also I think that what you went into there was actually going to be really helpful for a lot of music educators that listen to the show, and also, I mean, obviously oboists and just the principles are the same of musicianship. Yeah. It's just like if you're overworking yourself, something's going to go wrong,
Yeah. For sure.
And with it, well, and it's interesting that as you were talking, I was seeing a lot of parallels with trumpet, right? Because at least in the trumpet world, we always have the saying called, like, you have to have the right tool for the job, right? And so a lead trumpet player is not going to play the same equipment that an orchestral trumpet player is. Or there's always that one person that's like the anomaly and the exception that did it and it worked for them, but that's the exception, right? And so the importance of equipment in injury prevention is something that I've become more and more aware of through doing this show, but also, my own experience with injury. So I'm glad that you went that deep into it, because it's so important. You got to be playing on the right stuff, or else you're going to be overcompensating, right? Right. Because that's a principle of any instrument.